Okay, so today we are going to explore Google Classroom a little bit. I know that this is pretty self-explanatory and there's a million help videos out on Google Classroom, but I like to just pare it down. I know a couple of people have asked some specific questions about how I run my Google Classroom because I probably do it different than most people. So the first thing I want to do is show you my classes. So this is my Google Classroom. You'll notice first off, I have a class for each class period. And the reason I do that is because I like to, for example, I can go to a period and then I can go to my grades and I can easily see just the kiddos who are in that class and what their grades are for a specific assignment. I could make one class that has all my kids in it, but in my case, that means I would have 90 kids in one Google Classroom, which may be easier depending, but I find grade-wise, because I grade in Google Classroom, that it's actually quite a bit easier for me to go in and just have one class per class period. And then each one is separate, and I can put different things on there for different classes. I also tend to make weird classrooms, like this one is for my sixth grade exploratory for next year. This isn't the class itself. This is just a random class that I created so that they could do a little bit of techie stuff over the summer. So I'm going to introduce it. Notice there's a Google Meet link right there because I created one for this course. There's my join code right there. The most important part is to click on classwork. And then I created these little topics, which are like just little dividers. So some typing games, some animation, how to mess with pictures, and some coding games that I created for the kids. And I just made them as assignments because I don't care. They're just kind of for fun for these kids to practice with. And right now I don't have any kids in this course because I haven't signed any up. But I do that. I have usually I'll have a class in Google Classroom for extra credit work, virtual labs, anything that's extra and fun. I will make into one Google Classroom, and then kids can join it if they want to, but they don't have to. And then they have to join the one for my class, and I make sure that everything I need is in there. The other thing I do that's a little different in Google Classroom is you notice I have a staging area. This is a class that I created with absolutely nothing in it. Well, actually, there's lots of stuff in it, but there are no students in it. So I go to classwork and notice these are assignments that I created because I teach quarter-long classes. I don't want to recreate the assignment every stinking time. That's ridiculous. So I save it all to my staging area. So these are all my stuff for robotics right here. So this is my robotic staging area essentially. And you could definitely have a staging area class that had all of your stuff in it for all the different subjects you taught. This one just happens to be for robotics because that's the one that I had that was switching every 9 weeks. And I hate redoing things, so this made my life easier because when I go to create something, I can reuse a post. Reusing a post is super useful because then I can go anywhere I want and pick up a post from any class and put it in here. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I do that. So I'm going to go over to one of my robotics classes and I'm going to go to classwork and I'm going to reuse a post. I just hit create, and instead of going assignment, quiz, question, material, I go to reuse post. And then it asks, where do you want to reuse a post from? I want to use the arrow to come back out. And notice it's also showing me all of my archived classes, which is great. Sometimes that works great for me. And sometimes my archived classes don't show up. So I just prefer a staging area. So if I go to my staging area and I want to put in Bell Work Week 15, I just hit reuse. And then it pops up and it gives me options. And these options are important. So I can retype the directions, I can change the due date, I can change how many points it's worth, which classes I'm assigning it to. So I could assign it to all my classes from the staging area if I wanted to. And when I make a new assignment, so let's say I create something brand new for robotics, I can add it both to my robotics class and to my staging area at the same time. I have it set to make a copy for each student because that's what it was set at before. It has a topic, and then I can just assign it. And give it a second. It will pop up. Sometimes it takes it a little bit because it's pulling from one classroom to another. But there it is. So now if I scroll down to Bellwork, because that's where I put it, it's right there in Bellwork, week 15. And so now all the kids in this class can see that. And I had already created it and just saved it to my staging area. So that's how I use a staging area, just because I like it that way. To create a new class, you're just going to just start creating the class. The one thing I would recommend, and I'm just going to create a practice class here, is I do recommend putting in the sections. If it's period 3, then I would put period 3, subject, CTE, room 225. And then I create. And then it's going to give you some settings. And this is important because a lot of people get really frustrated with Google Classroom, and part of it is the settings. So the first thing you always want to do is go to your cog up in the corner and mess with your settings. So this is the stuff I just typed. I almost always put in some sort of a class description here, and I'm just typing random stuff so you can see it. It gives you your code. You can change that code. You can close it. You can open it. You can make a new code. Students can post and comment in the stream. I hate that. And I'm just going to tell you why, because I teach middle school. And middle schoolers post random, bizarre, massively inappropriate sometimes things. So I changed that to only teachers can post or comment. Classwork on the stream. So what this does is every time I post anything in classwork, it shows up in their stream and sends them an email. I hate that too because my kids get 7 billion emails every day. So I actually hide the notifications in the stream for classwork that I post. Show deleted items. I turn that on. Why? Because every once in a while I delete something because I'm like, okay, I don't want kids turning that in anymore. So I delete it, but I still want to see it on my end so I know that it was done and I can go back and look at it. But that way they don't see it. Guardian summaries. So this is the example of what a Guardian summary looks like. It sends it out once a week and shows the guardians what's missing and what kids did that week and gives them a real short sort of blurb about what it is. I turn those on and I put all my parents in there, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. The other thing I do is I almost always create a meeting link for the class, make it visible to students. The other option is to turn that off so only you can see it. You can also go in and I will often do one Google Meet where all my classes meet for a few minutes to talk about something. It's kind of up to you how you do that. If you're going to do them as separate classes, then this means each class would have its own Google Meet. If you want to do all in one, just turn this off for students and then just make one Google Meet that your kids will all join at once. Because I like to only go over things once because, let's be honest, I'm lazy. So I don't like to do the same thing 5 times if I don't have to. And so what I usually do is while I turn it on, I make it invisible to students a lot of times. That way I can choose to, yes, I want third period to really show up. And do this just for third period, or I really want this just for all my kids, I make a different one. So grading, it depends on what you're going to do. I do No overall grade calculation because I have my kids get their grades in Power School. So I don't have them look here for grades. What they do look here for is, did you turn it in? And did you get points on it? And how many points did you get? And then I just, I'm very old school. I actually have a clipboard and I just print it out from Power School and I handwrite as I grade in Google Classroom. I put the points down real fast, and then once a week I go into Power School and type them all in Power School. There is a way to upload from Google Classroom to Power School, but that's a whole nother subject, and you got to be a little more tech savvy with that one. Personally, I just grade it on Google Classroom, write it down, and then move it over to Power School. So I tell them no overall grade because I don't want the kids to look for a grade. It doesn't show an overall grade to kids. It will let you do categories here if you want to. You can go ahead and change that and then hit save. So now my kids will not be posting in the stream. Anything I post in classwork is not going to show up in the stream, which is always nice. And there's a Google Calendar that just got created for this class. There's a Drive folder that it created for this class. There's a People tab and a Grades tab. I don't have anything in there right now. So going to People and adding people. So I'm going to actually add, I know my daughters are going to be annoyed because I'm adding them as the only 2 students in my class. And I'm going to hit invite. And so what that did was it invited both those students. And notice they are currently grayed out because they have not accepted that invitation yet. Once they accept that invitation, open their Google Classroom, then they can accept that. And you can then import parent email addresses. You can do all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of up to you how you're going to do that. But generally speaking, I like to invite all my kids. I will oftentimes go to Power School, get the list of all their Google emails for that class, copy and paste right in here. And then I invite them all at once. And yeah, sometimes you have to remind kids to go in and accept it, and that kind of thing. But usually most kids are like, oh, there's something new on Google Classroom and it says join, and they just click a little join button. So that's kind of how I use my Google Classroom. Let me just show you really quickly a class that actually has stuff in it. So this is my first period science class. And yes, I made my own little header. You can make your own as well. They're not hard to do. I use the stream, notice little bells, that's just my announcements. So I have little announcements that I put in there for kids. All of their assignments are in classwork. In this case, because we're doing distance learning right now, I have everything sorted by the week. So 525 to 529, this was their assignment for this week. There's an evolution mutation gizmo, and then I have an optional assignment where they can watch some videos on Khan Academy. So, by the way, I love Khan Academy for science videos, but that's another video. So you can just click on it. It opens it up, tells me 6 kids have so far turned this in, which is about average. If something's due on a Thursday, I usually don't get them turned in until Thursday afternoon, which is why I make them due on Thursday so I can spend all day Friday grading them and emailing kids who needed to fix things. I have on here a YouTube video. I have a link to the Gizmo site, and I have the document that I want kids to fill in. And this is all set up to make a copy of the document. If I want to edit this assignment, I go to the 3 dots, edit it, and this is what it looks like when I edit it. I can come in here and change due dates. I can go in and take things off. I can add things. It tells me this. There's also a check originality. So if you're having them write something that they may copy straight from the internet, I will sometimes use check originality. For example, if I wanted them to write a little short essay about genetics, or I wanted a one paragraph or a 2 paragraph thing explaining what did you learn this year, I might go in and say check originality to make sure they're not copying it from somewhere else, because that would defeat the purpose of them writing it. I did have a couple of people ask about, I'm a big fan of the stupid little emojis because I think it makes it cute. So I'll show you really quickly. I'm just doing a right mouse click or a control click if you're using your trackpad. There's emojis and symbols. And so I can just go grab anything I want and stick it in there, and it sticks it in just like text. And then when I say save, you'll see now there's 2 emojis on there. There you go. Oh, you can't see the end of it because my name's too long, but let's see if I make it smaller. Nope, that didn't help. But anyway, it's there. So that's how you put an emoji in there. And that's what an assignment looks like. You have options with assignments. You can also do a quiz. Let's see, I have a quiz here. So this one is a quiz. This is a Choose Your Own Adventure Google form that I did with my kids. I made a video for them about how to do it. And then I just attached it as a link here. You can also, when you go to create a question for kids to answer if you're doing a discussion, a material if I just want them to get something, and I can also go in and do a quiz assignment. But an assignment and a quiz assignment are essentially the same thing. The quiz assignment just makes a random blank quiz. Since my quizzes are already made for me, because I made them like 2 years ago in my Google Drive, I just do assignment and link it. It's just that easy. And then there's always a Meet button because I created a Google Meet for this class. And so I can always come over, click it, generate the Google Meet, visible to students, yes or no, and turn it on or off. In this case, I don't want it, so I'm just going to escape out of it. That is kind of a very quick intro to Google Classroom and how I use it. Let me know if you need anything else.